Hey guys, some of you have been asking in the comments what happened with the motorcycle when it broke a couple of videos ago. So I'm going to tell you and show you what happened. These thingies are what mounts the skid plate to the bottom of the motorcycle. It's like sort of this hard rubber, and this screws up into the motor, and then the skid plate screws into the bottom of that. So when there's any pressure gets applied to that, I guess in theory they're supposed to suck up the some of the impact and help protect the engine. Here's what. So this connects to this, and then it connects to the engine. It's like a little spacer. This one actually survived. The other three look something like this. So they all broke, and in my experience, they break very easily, which is why I always have 4 extra in the bike. I didn't have to go to the store to buy those. I had them. So protecting the motor, these are some mounting brackets. Protecting the motor was this skid plate. It's still covered with oil because it only happened like 9 months ago and I haven't had time to get to it. This is on my list. So this is a skid plate. It's from Touratech. It's aftermarket. I believe it, hold on, I wrote it down on a piece of paper here. I knew I'd forget. $229.60 for this skid plate. And then on the other side, I also have the skid plate reinforcement system. This costs $139. So that's a lot of money into protecting the bottom of the engine, but it doesn't matter how much money you spend on a skid plate like this because it still mounts to the same place. It still mounts directly to the bottom of the motor, and that's bad because whatever you hit, the force of that, it's directly transferred directly into the bottom of the motor, of the GS. So, and breaking your motor is bad, obviously. So after I got down from the mountain, I called a guy named whose YouTube channel is named Defactor. He lives in Utah. He's a really good mechanic and an all-around nice guy. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. And I asked him for some advice, and he said I should take it to a place called Lindsay Machine Racing that's in Sandy, Utah. He said that he has had similar problems with other motorcycles, and that they were able to weld the casing back together. So I took it to them, and about $360 later, they welded back they welded the bottom of the motor. So I'll show you what it looks like, I guess. So that's what it looks like now. I don't exactly know what they did here, but I mean, it looks like that's a whole bunch of JB weld. I hope that's not what I paid for. I think that there was some welding done underneath that, and then on top of that they put JB weld. This is what the normal holes look like. So that just goes right into the motor. There's another hole there, and then there's the oil filter. And then that thing with the spacer drops this down, and then the skid plate mounts down there. So I've probably joked about this before, but it doesn't make any sense to me that BMW could come up with this motorcycle which they call the ultimate adventure machine, and leave the engine that exposed. Not only is it that exposed underneath, even with the skid plate, also if the bike falls over, the very first thing to hit the ground is the motor. And yeah, it's got crash bars. Good for it. But what if it lands and there's a rock right here that doesn't hit the crash bar and it just pokes a hole right through that? You're still screwed. I understand why the motor's like that. It's a great design for an air-cooled motor. I love it about that. But it just seems like a bad idea. Anyways, that's what happened with the GS. I broke the motor. I got the motor fixed. It's welded. I'm going to see now if this I can mount that back under there, because I'm going on a little ride on the Pony Express Trail pretty soon, which I hope to try and film a little section of the Pony Express Trail with an old Army buddy and the Factor. So check that out in the coming weeks.